Good afternoon, everyone, and almost good afternoon. Great to be here, and great to be among people who have spent quite some time in the fintech space. Keeping the time on track is my role, so I'll be quick. We'll be covering basically quick introductions, and then the way I would sum up today's session and what you can take away is how do you manage money? How do you accept payments or accept money? And then how do you actually make money using fintech? So that's kind of the 3-point summary. All the four panelists I have today are coming in from different directions, but around those three themes. And whether you are a fintech who's trying to understand how do you embed yourself into enterprises or SMBs, or if you are a business trying to understand how to use fintech offerings, this is the place to be. So thanks for making it. With that, I'm Samarth. As mentioned, I head the EMEA presence of 630 Ventures. We are a US-based fund focused on fintech, mainly C to Series A, and investing globally. I'm based here in Frankfurt, responsible for our investments here in Europe. So excited to be here and would like to start with quick introductions. Alexandra?
Sure. So I'm Alexandra. I work for GoCardless. So GoCardless specializes in account-to-account payments, and notably recurring ones. So we help collect money. We have been operating for 13 years now, started out of the UK, but now we can operate all over Europe. And we definitely are making strides in Spain as well. We also operate in Australia and North America.
Very happy to be here. My name is Mary, co-founder of Wells. We are a billing automation system for recurring revenue businesses based in Spain, working around the world. I'm very happy to be here as a former winner of South Summit last year.
Great.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julia. I'm the country lead for Spain and Portugal at Swan. And Swan is a European banking as a service platform, which basically means that we help companies from different kind of industries to issue their own banking products in white label. One example can be a retail company such as Carrefour with their cashback program that issue with us, and also all other examples from the software world such as HR, health tech, travel, etc. Super happy to be here as well.
John, nice to meet you and happy to be here with you. So we are Rova. I'm the co-founder and CEO. We are providing digital banking services for SMEs based in Lisbon, Portugal. And we tackle everything from the journey of the entrepreneur, from starting a business to growing a business. They have access to a bank account, they have access to an invoice software, expense management, so one-shop solution where they can manage their business. We did the acquisition of a full-fledged bank last year in order to start soon also credit features for the SMEs.
Amazing. Great. So I think the mystery around the 2 or 3 points you mentioned will slowly unravel, but I'll kind of go with questions just because I've spent some time in the financial services space, and it took me some time to get an understanding of where each of them are coming from. But I guess they are so good at this, they will simplify it, tell them how exactly is the offering, let's say, starting with Alexandra. Give us a feel of the space you are in. What's that open banking, the account-to-account payment space? I know in Europe it's been relatively common, but how has it been looking at other markets? And just probably start also with a bit about the account-to-account payment space.
Sure, I'm happy to. So account-to-account payments have evolved a lot over the last few years, and the adoption has been very different from one region to another. So in Europe, we benefit from the SEPA system, first of all, which has been very good. And thanks to PSD2, that was released a few years ago, we managed to get into open banking, which opened up a lot of possibilities for several players, such as ourselves, in terms of collection of payments, and notably unlocking also instant payments, which has been a huge progress. So we have seen adoption growing. Obviously, the adoption varies from one country to another, but we can see there's definitely an increased adoption, and with potential adoption of PSD3, hopefully in the next few years, that will also accelerate that adoption. Now, let's talk about the US, as you mentioned, which is always an interesting market to look at. On that front, the system used in the US is ACH. They have also implemented a form of instant payment through ACH, But what we do see in that region is that the adoption is a bit slower because the regulatory aspect, as opposed to PSD2, PSD3, is not as forceful, I would say. And also in terms of usage, the preference of the consumer is not quite there as much as in Europe. So we have seen a huge adoption in Europe from payers as well who prefer this method of payment, whilst in the US, the credit card payment remains the mostly preferred method of payment.
Got it. Great. Just on the other side, again, last year's winner, just looking at the early growth or early clients that you have, just give us a feel of who's kind of the target client for you. What were they doing before, and how did you solve, like, what was the problem you solved with the ULs?
Our clients have like two main characteristics. One is high volume of transactions, otherwise our product doesn't make sense. And the other thing is recurrency. Whenever you are trying to charge your customers in the way that, for example, Netflix is doing, we are there to help your technical team build that type of infrastructure. Because we see it as a consumer, we see that it's very easy, but technically to operate this way for a company is technically super expensive and very complex to build. So, because you have to take into account that you need to work with different payment providers, you have to build a lot of different integrations, you have to work with dates, minutes, seconds, upgrades, downgrades, discounts, taxes, multi-currencies, and so on. So the companies end up building a whole technical team to manage all that, which is super expensive. And this is the problem that we are solving now with companies like, for example, Telefónica here in Spain, and big companies with recurring income through end customers, which are consumers, basically.
Got it. So basically, between the first two panelists, we have covered how do you accept payments without having the complexity if you're a business. Even if you're not a business, if you are anywhere in the fintech landscape trying to address small businesses or large businesses, solutions from both the go-cardless as well as ULs are essentially embedding or partnering with you or kind of white labeled provided to you to solve that problem. Now we go to the other side. In fact, logically starting with John, if I'll hold you for a second. If you have a business and you want to run it, you need a bank. We needed a bank which was like an old-fashioned bank. Now nobody wants that. So if you can tell us a bit about how do you acquire probably an old-fashioned bank but run a new amazing super app for small businesses and so on. Just give us a feel of that.
So we look at the SME journey, right? So I think one thing we have done well as a team is to be hyper-focused on one audience, which is the SME. And you have a lot of audiences within this SME population, right? You have 25 million SMEs in Europe. In our area, Southern Europe, you have 11 million, right? So Portugal, Spain, Italy, France, and Greece, 5 countries only out of the 27 countries in Europe, almost half of the volume of SMEs in Europe. It makes sense. Where you go to Germany, you have 45% of the GDP coming from the SME population. In Portugal, where we start, it's 70%. 95% of the businesses have less than 10 employees. So it's very micro, small businesses, and they struggle. They struggle just to start a company. You need to find a lawyer. Then when you are done with this company creation process, you need to find a bank account. And you need to open a bank. It takes generally weeks to open a bank account. Meanwhile, you have 14 days to register your business within Social Security. Once that is done, if you're a yoga teacher, a restaurant, something that you can monetize with your talent, you are done by then already. You don't want to deal with that, you're upset, what was maybe the project of your life is starting to become a bit annoying. Then you keep doing what you need to put in place to be compliant as a small business. You need a software to send invoices now. You need to input your business VAT, and this software is certified now by regulation. So you have additional regulation components also coming and making it more difficult. In France, for instance, you can send a PDF still. Portugal, Spain, you have this e-invoice. Expense management, accounting is mandatory in our region. Right? So you have all sorts of providers, software, third-party services that you need to find. The market is not as transparent. So what we decided to do is to have all of those services in a one-shop solution where you can start a business. If you have already a business, you can run it. We bought a bank last year to make sure we can also help them to grow when they need credit. And Fintech has been a strong enabler. We have worked with Swan since the beginning to process those payments, to process those cards. And yeah, thank you for that. And yeah, so that helps us to basically build the bridge between all of those different services, all of these different pieces of software, and providing this one-shop solution, which is really tackling the user journey very smooth now.
Got it. If I can ask you, out of like the clients you have, do they still need any other bank, or can they just work with?
When they start a business with us, they don't need another bank. They will certainly not talk to another bank. The access to credit is also a pain for them. In Southern Europe, again, 80% of the loan application for SMEs are rejected. It takes, in average, 53 days to get a reply from the bank, just a go, no-go decision. We are building a credit scoring system also thanks to all of those modules, which is way more robust than any credit analyst in an incumbent bank. Whereas they generally look at 20, 25 data points, we look at 5,000 from invoices, from expense management. And so that helps us to understand the health of the business and to provide a better service. For an existing business, they generally have 2-3 bank accounts. The average in Portugal is 2.2 bank accounts per business. We built open banking features, right? So they come to us, we connect all their bank accounts to a platform. We also give them a payment account with Rova, and they do their bookkeeping. In front of each transaction from any other bank, you have the invoice, you have the receipt, the accountant has access to that in real time. We push this to the accounting software, and we streamline entirely the bookkeeping flow. That enables also the accountant now to not do the matchmaking manually with the different receipts and documents, but to spend time with the SME to help them in the business, to be an advisor.
Got it. Okay, great. So I'll stage the question now because we are getting into a part which is, if I look back to 15 years ago, I used to be part of an old large bank in Germany called Deutsche Bank. We were basically looking at software solutions that can help the bank. 10 years ago, thankfully, I came out of that, focused on startups, investing in fintech companies for the last 6 years, and essentially looking at how far we have come in terms of the solutions. So like you can bank with John, but most interestingly, not only can you as a business accept payments using solutions from GoCardless or from Yules, run your finances with the super app that John offers, but looking at how can you, or like I would say, the way I would put the question to you, I think there's a quote from A16Z, so one of the famous Silicon Valley investors, Angela Strange, their partner, said every company will be a fintech company. And I wanted to kind of challenge Julia on that, saying, this was like 4 years ago, I think, the quote, but where are we on that? And probably pick up from where John started, but basically trying to understand, not too many people probably have heard of embedded finance, or at least heard of it, but not understood how exactly it works. So I guess both of these questions are for you.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I would say every company could become a fintech company. We're not saying everyone should do it. Of course, every company and organization should have their own motivations. As you described, right? Maybe years ago, fintech as a concept and the technology into the finance world was kind of born to help banks and big financial institutions to kind of improve their processes, their security, their data, their user experience, and this was kind of the origin. Then we saw the big boom of the what we call challenger banks, right? And then Monzo and N26, Revolut, etc. were born, and this was also a huge fintech wave. But now, maybe 3 years from now, we really see like a lot of companies from different industries, not traditional banking industries, can embed their own and can issue their own banking products, such as accounts, cards, payment acceptance, etc. And that's a little bit what we believe, this embedded finance or embedded banking wave that we're living in, where everyone can issue a card, can accept a payment, etc. to put some examples, of course, Rova is the greatest example here. Technological company wants to launch quite fast, needs to rely on someone else's license for a while, use an API, etc., and have a product ready in weeks. But also, you could think of like different kind of scenarios. Just imagine HR software, for instance. Normally, the struggle is that with an HR software, a financial management software, a travel software, etc., you do all the operations, and then you switch to your traditional banking account and you do the banking operations there. So what embedded banking aims is to offer this simplified experience from the same interface. So that's a little bit what we want. And at the same time, maybe we talk about this a little bit later, but it's also a way of activating new revenue streams. In the end, banking is something that brings more revenue to companies, right? So the idea of embedding one product, it's not only to improve your user experience and to kind of increase the stickiness, but also get those new revenue streams that I'll be happy to dig a little bit more, dive into if you want.
Nice. I think one thing, I'll just take a pause on, we have now a decent amount of time. One aspect I wanted to probably share, and a lot of companies, you see them on stage, you look at probably their website, and you have no idea what happened, like how did they start, what happened. I don't want to go into like the history of each company, but just to give you a picture, of course, I'm a nerd on fintech companies, so I'll go and read up everything about where they founded and so on. But just to feel of where are you in terms of stage, and I can assure you it's like quite a lot of variety in terms of when they started and stage. But Alexandra, a bit about yourself, and Go Cardless, just a bit of the background, because it would be interesting for the audience to understand what went into the solution, when did you start, and so on.
So I might not be wrong when I say I think we're the oldest company on stage. So the business started about 13 years ago. From the UK, and then expanding. So started in France, outside of the UK, then Germany, then all of Europe, and then the US and Australia. What was interesting is that we started with a simple idea, which I think that all ties us. Maybe you should, everyone will be a fintech company, but again, do they want to? A lot of people have, founded themselves on a mission, on a passion, and the idea with Go Cardless, at least, was to take the pain out of getting paid, so that people can focus on their passion and what they're meant to be. So all of our solutions, I feel, offer that, give a bit of freedom so that people can operate. But the history has been that, just making life easier in terms of payment collection and always adding more and more services so you can save the time of your finance people, for instance, so they can find time for something that has more value. So what we help with is taking the pain out of getting paid, securing more cash flow, less failures in terms of payments, and more integration with tools such as my colleagues over here, and so that you can make it a lot easier, a lot smoother, and save some time for more valuable tasks.
Amazing. So, and in terms of scale,
in terms of scale, sorry, that was the idea. Today, to give you a sense of the scale that we have 90,000 merchants that we power in terms of payments all over the world. Again, historically, we're a UK company, so we still have a bulk of the business here, but Europe, and I mentioned Spain earlier, particularly in Spain as well, we've seen tremendous growth, and the market, the SEPA market, because we operate on a scheme basis, the SEPA scheme is huge and is growing really rapidly. Germany, France, Spain, Italy as well, Portugal, we have a few clients, etc. So we do see the scale coming a lot. I talked about the US a bit earlier on. The usage is not the same quite yet, but we still see some growth there, and we see them in Australia as well.
Okay. For you, Joe?
I guess that opposite as you, we are in the earliest stage. We've been doing this for 2 years, but before Wells, we built another company. We struggled a lot to charge our customers. We had a huge global operations, high transactional volume, a very specific way of charging our customers. So we struggled that much that we decided that our second venture was going to be trying to solve the problem that we faced. So we started 2 years ago. It is true that the market is evolving in a way that our product is making more and more sense, especially when we go to partners like, for example, here, Go Carlos over here, and other payment providers that we can put our tool in their technical offer, and they can launch faster their product also in the customer side. So we are trying to grow from partner channels because it is easier to us to get that end customer.
Right.
Because at the end, the payment providers, normally they are huge companies. Everybody knows them. Everybody has deals with them. So if we can put our product on top of the payment provider, it is easier, quite easier to us to go to the market and also to scale. So we are now based in Spain. It is true that we are starting to operate with global customers and also global partners. And we are in that path of a huge lap of growth this year. So very happy.
Got it. Please,
Yeah,
Julia.
so Swan was born, well, it's a little bit in the middle of them two. Was born in 2019 from three French co-founders. And then 2020, we got the EMI license, starting getting the first clients. Our license is passported across Europe, meaning that we could, start getting some clients around different countries. Got the Series E a couple of months ago. We got the Series B, backed by Lakestar, but also Axel, Creandum, etc. From the Series A to the Series B, of course, we grew in terms of team, but we grew also in terms of products and a little bit localization. That's what we call as a priority. So basically, what we did is selecting a little bit our most important or relevant markets and creating an office there, having a local team and localizing the product, meaning getting local accounts, adapting to local regulations, having local relationships with the networks, etc. So yeah, basically we're now a team of a little bit more than 250 employees, most of them based in Paris, our headquarters, but also with offices in Germany, Netherlands, Spain, Italy now, and we're in the phase of exploring if to go to new markets, developing a little bit more of product. We started with account offering and a simple card, and also we've moved now to the space of acquiring payments. So now that we have a little bit the full stack, so to say, we are going to decide what's next.
Got it. Amazing.
So exactly 2 years ago, I moved to Portugal, so in June 2022. This is where we started Rova. We launched our initial product in April last year, so 12 months ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, since then we have onboarded a couple of thousand businesses in Portugal. The company creation service feature is one that works very well. It's a boost for the economy. We are now the largest companies provider in Portugal. We have set up the majority of the company in our market. The bank we acquired last year, we are currently building the core banking system, the lending engine. It will be the first cloud-based bank in Portugal.
Nice.
We have 29 commercial banks in Portugal. They are all on mainframe, so IBM is happy. But yeah, so we will be all on the cloud. And yeah, so Q4, Q1, the idea is to launch also the credit features now, and then to prepare Spain and Italy. Right, so Southern Europe is really the play for Rova. And yeah, so the first conference I do in Spain after 2 years, and yeah, very excited to prepare that. We are 18 in the team now. We'll be 150, 160 by end of the year, and we have a play like that for the next 3-4 years.
Amazing. Okay, I have a quick question to the audience. How many of you are fintech startups or in the fintech space? Great. And the others are like interested in how they run their business and so on. That's why they're here. Wanted to give you some time to ask any questions. You've heard their story, a bit about what they do, but just wanted to open the stage. I always have more questions, so I can fill in, but if any of you wants to ask, all good? Okay, so, I mean, another second chance. Anybody was shy about to raise their hands? Yeah, go for it. It always works.
I was interested about what Maria said about the failure in the other startup you had and how you recovered and then rebuilt this new one. So I was wondering how you faced that failure at first and then how you came out and do this new one.
I mean, emotionally, it was very complex to handle. It was in COVID, because our previous business made sense before COVID, but not after. After was very, very expensive for us to keep growing it. So being able to solve our operations, it was good, because this way we take the problem out and we could focus again with a new company. But we were 40 in the team and we had to fire everybody. So emotionally, super complex, but we felt that it wasn't our moment to let this adventure pass, and we wanted to continue, and we had a challenge to where we can focus, and we decided to, okay, we cry for 24 hours, and then let's do it again. It was super challenging and emotionally super complex, but we did it, and here we are. So it is possible to do it if you have very clear what you want, and if you have the energy to go through this new path.
Convinced? Any other questions? Follow up? Yeah.
Hi, thank you, all of you. I was interested about, are any of you looking into introducing crypto, for whether it is payments or crypto wallets for the businesses to accept crypto payments, or any about crypto for the business?
I'll take it, I guess.
Sorry?
I'll take it because I'm a payments company. But so operating in the payments industry means being regulated. So I mentioned earlier on, so for instance, in Europe, we are regulated by the ACPR, which is the French regulator. But for each geography we operate in, we have strong regulation. And in order to be able to process payments on behalf of our merchants, it requires a very specific process. You have a safeguarding account, you have a sponsor bank that helps doing that. So until, at least in my world, and I'm happy to let my colleagues say something else on that, but until cryptocurrency can offer the same kind of security and comfort, and enough that the regulator is happy with that, I don't think that as a payments company that is heavily regulated and has very strict processes in terms of KYC or KYB, I don't think we can offer that. That being said, the technology that powers it, blockchain, obviously, is very interesting. But I think that if we were to go down that path, it would be through our different sponsor banks that we use. We have different ones per region. In Europe, it's BNP. But we use different banks, and I think it would be more on the bank's side to offer that technology rather than on us, because we are in the middle of a different process, and it's the regulator that decides what we can or cannot do. But I don't know if it's...
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think if anybody else wants to add, but otherwise I think sticking on to the timeline, and I guess I hope you got a convincing answer, but I know there's a lot to do on that front. We are watching the space, but loved spending time with all four of you, and thank you so much for all your amazing answers. Great panel, and thanks audience for being here and asking those questions. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.